first year too.
Yeah, it's the first year.
Our first year they got completely, like, amazing.
But thankfully, like, the program has already been, like, Tim Laguna has already been giving them lessons for years. So, even though it's the first, like, student, they've already been working.
Oh, he's all the way in the back.
So much to see how they play.
by a composer named Julie Giroux, currently still living. We play a lot of music from a lot of dead people, so it's nice every once in a while to play some music from people that are alive. So it's a little more accessible, and Julie Giroux has really made a name for herself as a wind band composer. She's got nearly 100 compositions, and this one is particularly fun because it's the second of a series of 3 compositions that is about somebody in her life that inspired her musically. So this is literally about a band director. So all the weird quirkiness of it and just the random outbursts and all that stuff, that is from somebody who she felt very, very connected to as a teacher and as a mentor. And so you can kind of get the idea of what it must have been like to have that teacher as a band director, or that person as a band director based on what you just heard. Hope you enjoyed that one. The next piece we'll be playing for you tonight is entitled St. Florian Chorale. It's by a composer named Thomas Das. Thomas Das studied at the Bruckner Institute. Anton Bruckner is an Austrian composer and one of the finest romantic composers to have ever lived, arguably, but his symphonies are beautiful. And what's interesting about Bruckner is he stayed at a place called the St. Florian Church. And so it was a monastery, and St. Florian is actually the patron saint of like firefighters and chimney sweeps. Not kidding. So it's just the truth. lack of a better term, there was a study done in 2010, an article published in Nature Physics. It detailed an experiment about how scientists were able to successfully melt a diamond. And then for the first time, they measured temperature and pressure necessary to do so. So when diamonds are heated to very high temperatures, they don't melt, they simply turn into graphite, which then melts. So the thought of liquid graphite isn't as nearly as appealing or beautiful as liquid diamond. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if you stumbled upon that? Would any of you still be living in this city if you stumbled upon liquid diamond? Maybe. I love this city, so it's fine. But like, oh my goodness, could you imagine stumbling upon liquid diamond? That would be amazing. Be amazing. Therefore, the addition of extremely high pressure, 40 million times the pressure we feel on Earth at sea level, is crucial to melt a diamond. 40 million times. So what Viet Quang did then is he did his best to create textures and create sounds that kind of sparked the imagination in our minds about what diamonds might look like or sound like if they were liquid metal. So the extreme temperatures and pressure used in this experiment are found in Neptune and Uranus, and scientists therefore believe that seas of liquid diamond are possible on those two planets. Oceans of diamond may also account for these planets' peculiar magnetic and geographic poles, which do not line up like they do here on Earth. Lastly, as the scientists were melting the diamonds, they saw floating shards of solid diamond forming in the pools, just like icebergs in our ocean. So again, imagine distant planets with oceans of liquid diamond filled with bergs of sparkling solid diamonds drifting in the tide. These theories are obviously all conjecture, but this alluring imagery provides heaps of inspiration for Diamond Tide, which utilizes the melting sounds and metallic water percussion and trombone and glissandi throughout. So you're going to hear a lot of really interesting timbres and textures here. In the first movement, you'll hear a lot of glissandi or glissandos being performed by the trombones with mutes, and then in the second movement of this piece, you'll hear a lot more from the percussion section. They have wine glasses back there with water, and as they tip the wine glass, the pitch bends by a half step. Creates a really, really cool sound and texture. So we hope you enjoy Viet Quang's Diamond Tide. Thank you very much.